There are countless reasons why a marriage may fall apart. Unresolved tensions, constant arguments, or in my case, a revelation that changed everything. It wasn't the arguments that ended my relationship with Stacy. No, it was what I uncovered during one of our many all-too-familiar fights. It started on an otherwise ordinary Saturday morning. Stacy and I found ourselves in yet another heated shouting match. Funny enough, I can't even remember what sparked it. Probably something trivial like dirty dishes or unfolded laundry. That was how we were, constantly battling over the smallest things, each of us desperate to prove we were right, as though every disagreement was a fight that had to be won. Our tempers would flare so intensely that sometimes we wouldn't speak for days. We had long convinced ourselves that our fiery arguments were part of our passionate relationship. That day was no different. We exchanged hurtful words, trying to wound each other with the sharpest insults. Then, Stacy snapped, "That's it! I'm done! I'm leaving you for good!" Without thinking, I retaliated with venom. "Who cares? Who else would put up with someone as hysterical as you?" But instead of snapping back as usual, her expression shifted. The rage in her eyes wasn't explosive this time. It was cold, controlled. Then she dropped the bomb. "You think no one wants me? My boss has been after me for a long time. He actually thinks I'm amazing." With that, she stormed out and slammed the door behind her. Her words hit me like a ton of bricks. I was shattered, overwhelmed by a wave of rage and betrayal. I wanted to confront her, to scream and demand answers, but instead, I did the only thing I knew. I tried to block out the pain, hoping I could somehow erase the moment from my mind. 3 days passed, 3 long, bitter days where I convinced myself it had all been a bad dream, just another one of our fights gone too far. But then she came back, this time with movers. Silently, she packed her belongings and left. There were no more screaming matches, no final words of hate, just quiet, eerie finality. For 6 months, I was stuck in a cycle of anger, jealousy, and regret. I dreamed about her coming back, telling me it was all a lie, that there had never been another man. But every time I woke up, the reality hit me like a punch to the gut. She had betrayed me and she was gone, until one evening she wasn't. Out of nowhere, Stacy showed up at my door, acting as if nothing had happened. She walked in, made herself coffee, and sat down like she still belonged there. "I want to start over," she said, calm and composed. But I wasn't having it. "You know I can't forgive infidelity, Stacy," I said, my voice betraying how unsettled I was. "If there was another man, it's over." She lowered her gaze, and for a moment, there was a heavy silence. Then, almost as if reading my thoughts, she tried to backtrack. "There was no affair," she whispered. "I just said that to hurt you, to get back at you for what you said." A tear welled up in her eye, her face full of remorse. It was the perfect setup for a dramatic reconciliation, the kind where we'd forgive each other and pretend love conquers all. But I knew the truth. I had spoken to one of her co-workers, someone who knew everything. For the past 6 months, Stacy had been living with her boss, the man she had risked everything for. When I confronted her with the truth, she didn't argue, didn't deny it, didn't even act surprised. She grabbed her purse and bolted out of the door. Her return wasn't about love or second chances. It was about desperation. The relationship she'd thrown everything away for had blown up in her face. Her boss, the man who had promised her a new life, had dumped her and left her stranded. Now, as her lover flies off to start his new life, she's left picking up the pieces. And me? I'm finally free from her lies, her betrayal, and the pain that once consumed me.